webcasting to the world.
Do you remember the moment that you saw yourself in God and God in you, and you were one with the universe and God and everybody?
Knowing the truth about the gospel.
You were one with the prostitutes and pimps and priests and kings, and there was nobody on earth that was better than you nor less than you.
That we are all righteous.
And no one on earth was any less in Christ than anyone else.
That's Mike Williams, and this is the Gospel Revolution.
Hello, this is Daniel Rouse. Would you welcome with me again the founder and president of the Gospel Revolution, Michael Lilborn Williams.
Hello, Daniel. Thomas Rouse, how art thou today?
I am doing stupendous. And how are you?
I'm stupendous, yes. Sometimes it borders on one or the other, right?
I was going to say, it's funny how close that word is to the other. And some days it can be one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And with our research we've done, we've found out just enjoy it, whichever way it is.
Yes.
Now, if that's not a reason to listen to this show, you don't have a reason. So.
Well, we have that one. Then, of course, we've got the cliffhanger. It's been 2 weeks now with the woman at the well.
We've left Jesus with the woman at the well for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They have gotten to know each other way better than they ever have in the last 2,000 years. We left them there together.
Yeah. So hang on, folks. We got a big show for you. We got lots of good stuff. Some hot, fresh off the kitchen stove. Something.
Stove, kitchen.
Hot off the press. That's what I was trying to say.
You got your press and your oven mixed up.
Yeah.
I mix my metaphors all the time, so don't worry.
And hello to everybody listening across the world. Thanks for joining us. It's always a privilege to have you a part, and just to think that there's people out there listening and enjoying the gospel just as much as we are.
Well, it's hard to imagine that anybody's enjoying it as much as we are, but we do accept that. I do get the phone calls and the people that are just blown away, and the little text messages and emails, and that's always very nice. It's not like there's a flood of them, but it's nice to hear back. So Daniel, we are, first off, we want to thank everybody for contributing to helping Moses and his family out. And thank you. Do we have our list?
Yeah, we do.
We don't have to tell everybody how much everybody gave. We'll just say everybody pitched in, and these are the ones that were able to. And God forbid we miss somebody, we'll make a whole show about you if we did.
Yeah, Moses said, "This is the list of the most holy and righteous GRs and friends who have contributed so far. Kindly thank them sincerely on my behalf. Daniel Rouse, whoever that guy is, John Popkakin, am I saying that right? Peppercorn.
Yeah.
Ken Eastman, Al Lovejoy, Glow Enterprises, Judy Tonini, James Gustafson.
That was a hard one for me for a while.
This is going to be an interesting show today. Gordy Lister, Glenn Klein, Thomas Bernard, Michael Blanche, Rob Vicanti, Gordy Lister, Craig Branch, and John Van Sickle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you guys. So you see, we had a very few that were able to respond to that, unless we forgot your name. I don't know how we would have done it. I tried to make sure whether you guys communicated it to us, and I sent it on to Moses. My attempt was to put the name down on the note, and he was keeping track of everything. He definitely kept track of everything I gave him. If there's any reason that there was someone left out, it will be my fault, and it will be someone who contributed through PayPal or contributed through the ministry, and then we sent it over. So, yeah, I did my best to keep track of that, and I think that's an accurate list. It has definitely helped them. I think the total is right at $2,000.
Yep.
That all of you folks, including our own Reverend Thomas Rouse, contributing to the cause.
Praise the Lord.
So how long has it been since that's the first time you've been called Reverend? You used to be called that all the time, right?
Yeah. Now, about the only one who ever calls me anything like that is from time to time I hear from Larry Huggins in a text or something, and he always calls me Bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Bishop. But yeah, goodness, it's been a good. Well, and because I stopped even introducing myself in the end as Pastor Dan, Pastor Daniel anymore. I just I'm Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all of that became meaningless to me. So, although many people still did call me that for sure.
Yeah.
Even after I left, people were calling me Pastor Dan.
Wow. It's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard Pastor Dan. There was a character or something, Pastor Dan. Oh no, Lieutenant Dan. That's who I'm talking about. You weren't Lieutenant Dan. You were Pastor Dan. We went all the way to Tom Hanks, but we're moving on quickly. I'm not going to stall. I promise.
Well, Michael, we were chatting yesterday about a book that we may have kind of shunned away from for a long time. Even speaking of Word of Faith days, even back then, that's Ecclesiastes. The vanities, oh vanities.
Yeah.
My goodness, the cranky old preacher man.
Yeah. Well, we were so far. I've checked in with others, and everybody said, "Yeah, that's what I was taught." Yeah, that's what I was taught. And I was taught that to call him the backslidden preacher.
Mm.
So it's amazing to call him the backslidden preacher. And he wrote the Song of Solomon. So if he was backslidden, he was sure enjoying it. He wrote a song about it. And isn't that what music is all about? Especially country music. Everybody's backslidden and they're loving it. So
yeah.
But this man Solomon, we've been captivated by him, and I, as telling Daniel, and all you know the story. I'm not going to go into it in the detail, but my first introduction to a biblical character was not Jesus Christ; it was Solomon. And at a very early age, I was in single digits. I don't know when, but very, very early. I would guess around 6. And my mother let us go to vacation Bible school, and my sister somehow had started going to the Baptist church about 6 blocks away, and she let us go. She was never in church, and neither was my father. Daniel and I were just discussing about the incredible difference between his household and my household. And my father never and would never go to a church until he got a girlfriend after my mom died. Didn't go to church. Sometimes you just gotta go, right?
Yeah.
So but my mother never ever went to church. There was no mention of anything. We didn't pray. That would have. I remember going to an elderly relative's house that we had to pray over the meal, and it was just so strange. It's like, what is this, And but the very first time I went, I didn't hear about Jesus. I heard about Solomon and his great wisdom and cutting the baby in two. And I was so into that story. I mean, I just thought, this is the smartest guy you can get, God. He wants to cut the baby in two. And then of course, he says, "Oh, now I know who the mother is," based on the response. And I was telling Daniel, I wept myself to sleep for not every night, but over a space of 10 years, many times, many times, praying and just asking for the wisdom of Solomon to be able to help people. So Solomon is really, through this research, I've become reacquainted with how important Solomon was in my understanding of spirituality. That you should be wise enough to be able to help people. That was my whole concept. Accepting Jesus and everything else was only one of those steps that you made to become wise enough to help people. It makes me almost wish I was a pastor again to teach people to be wise enough to help people, instead of teaching them to be wise enough to get healed, and which don't work, and wise enough to make money and make the kids behave, and oh man, but just how about just wise enough to be able to help other people? And that was Solomon's. It says that he might judge the people, but in his judgment, it was help. That's the way I was introduced to Solomon in that class, was not as a judge, but as someone who wanted that wisdom to help. And boy, it sure helped out that baby that day. That's for sure. He declared an execution and actually ended up finding out who the mother was, with both of them lying. How do you see through lies? That's just two people standing in front of you lying about the same thing. How do you see through those lies? What an incredible thing. Again, that Solomon piece was great. Also, I want to say publicly, I've let Daniel know what a wonderful job that our last podcast was with Daniel teaching on the one man. It's beautiful, just absolutely wonderful. Got me to thinking we might as well drop this on our folks now, just to show you we got some things to say to you. So nobody else has ever told you this. Dun, 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 dun. Get ready. So after Daniel dropped in all of that one man and the lineage and everything, so I was like, wow, that really is amazing. And how that transfer came at the seating of Christ at the right hand of the throne of God, while Solomon was king. Solomon was the last king before they were overthrown. And so it's just that transitional figure there. But I love to see the beginning from the end. And so I started tracing back, and it was kind of muddy for me. It's one of those things that you ought to know. But I didn't know where the line started. Of course we knew Adam, right? But then I wasn't real sure from there exactly where. And some of you that have been interested in these things will find it funny that I didn't know it all. But we had a one of his sons was murdered. So we had a murderer and the murdered one, and then we had the next one, which Seth. It was his line that came all the way to Christ. So Daniel and I were just signing on, and I was telling him about doing this. And I thought, there's something here and I know there's going to be way more. So we start out with the line of Judah, which it became the line of Judah. We start out with Seth. And I said to Daniel, there's something really here, because God told them they were going to have a third child because, not as a replacement, but because they lost their one son to murder, that he was going to give them another child. And I said to Daniel, it's strange that the whole line starts with a murdered. And the moment that, me and Daniel both at the same time saw it. So the beginning of the entire line starts with a murder, and the end of the whole thing ends with a murder.
Wow.
Now, we'll take up the offering and
we'll go home
and experience some vanities. and you will too by the time you finish this show. You're going to find one of the best license to sin that you've ever had. Of course, everybody has suspected all along that that's why I teach this, is so that I can do whatever I want to do. But the things that we have to share with you about Solomon, and of course, we're all of this is around the woman at the well. I mean, this information that you are going to learn, what you've already learned and what you will learn in this is going to help resolve this woman at the well experience. It's the most detailed encounter in the New Testament that we have of Christ with another human being. I mean, this is just amazing. A very poignant moment, and things that I don't think we've understood about it before. But as we're talking about Solomon, there's some things that we need to know, right, Daniel?
Yeah, well, let's just open up Ecclesiastes 1:1, and it reads this: "The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanities of vanities, all is vanity." Goodness, I think if I were to walk into church on Sunday morning and the preacher walk up and that was the first words out of his mouth, I'd say, we're in for one of those sermons today.
Exactly. You're all going to burn in hell. So yeah, the first two lines are profound. Number one, David's son. Number two, the king. And I'm also the preacher. So this is a preacher king. The very first preacher king, I have to say. David experienced and saw a lot of things, but we don't ever see David preaching anything or preaching or teaching. That may not be 100% accurate, but we don't see David writing 3 books about anything. So he recorded we have his sayings, and his insights were the book of Psalms, which everything that he said was about the Christ. Every single Psalm, we've done a lot of research in that, and we just can't find anything in the Psalms that's not about Christ. So, and now you've got this guy. Just imagine Solomon's father was this guy who was constantly spewing things out like Psalms, singing these crazy songs and strumming on his lyre, and maybe he got some drums in there sometime. I don't know, but this position that Solomon had really is amazing. So we have his identity, and we have his basic thing he wants to say in this book called Ecclesiastes.
Vanities.
Vanity. So the thing that I was sharing with Daniel, I guess it was just yesterday. This stuff all moves so fast now. And it kind of struck me about Solomon that he was a man that just wanted nothing but wisdom. And he turned out to be a wine bipper, prostitute chasing, concubine loving, money money man who just enjoyed all this stuff. And as I was reading through, so it's like, okay, so I need to find out what this guy has to say. So it really took me aback, because here is the Solomon of my childhood. And it's not like I've not read through Solomon before, or through Ecclesiastes or the Song of Solomon, or Proverbs. That's just so amazing just to see those three different, the difference in all three of them.
Yeah.
And it is just really quite amazing. And one, I think the Song of Solomon probably had to come first. It sounds like the words of a very young man. And then you have Proverbs. And then, of course, Ecclesiastes, the Proverbs, where everything's supposed to turn out right if you do right, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Ecclesiastes basically says none of that works. And that's the first implications or first impressions I had about Ecclesiastes back when I started studying the Bible after I got delivered and became a part of Norval Hayes Ministries. So one of the things you're going to find, though, in reading this incredible book of Ecclesiastes, I don't remember the order now that I learned these in, but one of them was I wanted to find out when it said that these, what things did he say was grievous to the spirit? And so he talked about drinking wine. That was not a vexation of the spirit. Having all the women you want, that wasn't one of the things he said was a vexation of the spirit. Having all the gold in the world, that wasn't a vexation of the spirit. The things that I found was that the vexations of the spirit was somebody living a life and trying to work and labor. It was all about works. Works is what is vanity to Solomon. And somebody think, well, I'm glad to find out about that. I'm just going to quit work. Solomon said it's all vain. But the kind of work that Solomon was pointing toward was the attempt in the context. He is pointing out the vanity of trying to work and it benefiting you with God. So here you've got Proverbs, here you've got the Song of Solomon, now you've got Ecclesiastes, and he wasn't warning about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. He was warning about thinking that doing all the good in the world would ever benefit you. That don't work.
Wow.
I think I said that once.
It don't work. Let me read a few more verses here. So he says, vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit has a man from all his labor in which he toils under the sun? One generation passes away, another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hastens to take place where it arose. The wind goes towards the south, the wind turns towards the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. All the rivers run in the sea, yet the sea is not full, to the place from which the rivers come. Then they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. That which has been is what will be, and that which is done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. If there is anything of which may be said, see, this is new. No, it's already been in ancient times before us. There is no remembrance of the former things, nor will there be any remembrance of the things that are to come by those who will come after.
and this is a vexation.
Mm.
So we're going to get more into that. One of the things that he said there, and I will defer just a moment to our research in physics and challenging theoretical physics. And that is, he said, there's nothing new under the sun. For those of you that are looking at the work, and maybe this would inspire you to do it, is that what we have been able to surmise at this point is that basically what we have here on Earth is a reconstruction of the very core of the sun. Now, you will not find that in any book on theoretical physics of any kind, but this incredible reconstruction of the sun through photosynthesis, all of these, even digestion is the process of ingesting all of the things that come from the sun. So you see this incredible reconstruction of the sun here on Earth in form of mass. And it is really quite fascinating. But there literally is nothing new under the sun, because everything that is on the earth came out of the sun.
Wow.
And that's all the physics you're going to get.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And again, Michael, we have a book that is so old that it still has the physics and the understanding of the workings of the universe. And it's been there all of this time, hidden in the Hebrew scriptures.
Nothing new under the sun. Just amazing.
Yeah, that verse you mentioned, if I read down to verse 14 of chapter 1, it says, I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit.
Yeah. So, and notice he hadn't got to the wild parties, and he hasn't got to that yet. So, but I'll guarantee you that everybody listening to us, anytime they heard vanity, vanity, all is vanity, it was talking about, sex, drugs, rock and roll. But that is not what vexes the spirit. Now, one thing that I wanted to know is, does it vex God? Or when he says it vexes the spirit, is he talking about the human? And so I did the research in that, and it seems to be very clear that he's not talking about that these things are vexing to the Holy Spirit, or you're vexing the Spirit of God or God himself. You are vexing yourself. So what is vexing to your own soul, your own spirit, your own humanness? The thing that vexes the soul is the thing that we've been trying to unvex for 30 years. And that is laboring to gain something spiritual through effort. This is what Solomon is saying is a vexation to spirit. Now, like I said, it's not a vexation to God, but to me, when I read this is the open door to mental and emotional illness. There was a interview that I was listening to, and the psychologist on there was speaking, and she was talking about separation anxiety. Or she was talking about anxiety, and with the person she was interviewing. And they were talking about anxiety and how to deal with it. And she made this comment about anxiety. She said, actually, all anxiety is separation anxiety. And I thought, well, that's interesting. That kind of, if you get it all together and say, what is anxiety? It's all separation anxiety. And she went down the list and showed how that it's, anxiety, not just separation from others, but also she talked about that God lived in her heart. Now, she didn't know anything about my research in this, And this happened after I started seeing this just yesterday, and I saw that interview yesterday evening. And she made the statement that what anxiety is when we are dealing with something and we start working on it. She said, and in her terms, we get all up in our head, and that we experience a separation from ourselves, because our true selves is in our heart. And it's like, she been reading Solomon too. And so it was very interesting to see that, because in my view, now maybe nobody else would see that, but when you've spent more than 35 years trying to help people understand the difference between law and grace, and works and grace, and righteousness and sin, and good and evil, and all of these things, and what they actually are, and what is the real problem. And so many times through the years, we've come to the resolve on so many times that the real problem here is not a lack of righteousness. The real problem is self-righteousness. And the self-righteousness tells you that you can gain righteousness through your works. So the ability to gain righteousness, and that's why the gospel is so powerful, is because it's a revelation of righteousness.
Yeah.
And so this concept that work is going to make you better off with God, or more spiritual, any type of work, that you're pleasing God. I remember, how many New Testament verses do we have that could back that up? But this attempt to please God in everything that we do. And it's almost, it has the echoes of Jesus calling people to, okay, you need faith. You know that it's going to take faith to become righteous. So let's test this faith out. Any one of you here that has even a grain of faith, the smallest grain or smallest seed of faith, he said, all you have to do is talk to this mountain, be thou plucked up by the roots and be cast in the sea. And then what did that produce? It produced people teaching how to have great faith. It's like, what? Let's do the tiniest seed faith right first. We never did that. Why are we into great faith? And when I start seeing somebody say something only by their words, they cause a mountain to pick up and move, I'll know that person has faith. Until then, don't tell me about who has faith and who don't. I know who.
Come on.
I know who. There's only one. It was Christ. It's called the faith of God, or the faith of Christ. So, see, we missed Solomon's message. Solomon was preparing us for prepare ye the way of the Lord, just like John did, except way before. And he was doing his best to help people see that the attainment, trying to attain identity, trying to attain even just identity about yourself through what you do, how you perform, that if that's what you are looking for, you are going to vex your own soul. You're going to vex your own. This is a vexation of spirit. Man, and how many sermons have me and Daniel done about you don't want to vex the spirit, But see, we weren't clear about whose spirit was being vexed. And we told them things to do that would vex their spirit. So the irony of it all is just really quite amazing. So, Daniel, I think we understand now. We've not mentioned, like I said, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and he's already saying that this has already become a vexation for people. And to understand that he's not talking about vexing God. I mean, how can you vex God?
Right.
I mean, that's declaring that God has mental illness, vexation. I mean, goodness, how many times have you, I mean, from my generation, they use that term, especially the generation before me. Oh, my soul's just really vexed.
Yeah.
And, but they used it at least properly. It wasn't they were vexing God. It was that their own soul was vexed. But usually it was vexed because they were around somebody who was doing sex, drugs, rock and roll. But that's not the vexation of your own identity. This is the vexation. Your own identity needs to be solidly rooted in the righteousness of Christ, or you are going to strive for identity, whether it's about God or not. If you're trying to become somebody or be identified through your works, and that is the means as to which you establish your identity and who and what you are creating your own doorway to mental and emotional illness. And as I look around the world today, with the massive amounts of mental and emotional illness that we deal with, and this separation from our own identity, a separation from our identity in Christ, because the only identity that the human race has now is in Christ. We just don't know it.
As Solomon goes on into chapter 3, of course, this is one of the often places where I would open up in Ecclesiastes. There's a time to be born, there's a time to die. I preach a lot of messages out of here. But listen to the culmination of that. And what are we to do with these vanities? What about them? He says in Ecclesiastes 3:9, "What profit has the worker from that in which he labors? I have seen the God-given task with which the sons of men are to be occupied. He has made everything beautiful in its time, and he has put eternity in their hearts, except that no one can find out the work that God has done from beginning to end. I know that nothing is better for them than to rejoice and to do good in their lives, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all of his labor. It is the gift of God. I know that whatever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing can be taken from it. God does it, that men should fear before him."
Man. And there's where the axe is brought between the two mindsets. He's making it very, very clear that what God does, that's what man has to rely on, is what God does.
Yeah.
Instead, we started relying on God to, put food on the table and, to take care of our kids and, the whole list of things.
And to bless what we do.
Yes, bless us, and what we do. So, and one of those verses you have to 3:11. I think your translation is really bad.
Yeah, it says, "And he has made everything beautiful in his time, and he has put eternity in their hearts, except that no one can find out the work that God does from the beginning to the end."
All right, so that's on its face just screwed up. I mean,
yeah.
God put eternity in your heart so that you would never know about it. Okay, so this one I dismantled also, and it says no man is what the King James says. And the word no is not there. So I went into deep AI research into the Hebrew to make sure, because sometimes it is there and it's 2 or 3 words before. A lot of people make a mistake in thinking because it's not right there, that it's not there. Well, it's a different language. And sometimes the translation is having to pull that implied meaning down 2 or 3 words later. But that is not the case. And it literally says that God has put, and when it talks about eternity there, that's the word olam. And it's used many times, and it's a beautiful word. And it literally means the beginning, from before the beginning until the end and after the end. But then the next verse does not say that he put it there so that no man could understand it. It is put there so that man can understand it. The word no was put there by the translators because they were convinced nobody could ever understand it.
Yeah.
Hello. That's what we're doing. We're understanding this, folks. And it doesn't make any difference whether we're talking about the gospel or the whole physics of the thing. I mean, it's just really, really powerful. So this also really struck me because I've been saying for years that I became extremely convinced that the gospel was already inside of everybody. And that if I'm teaching anything that they don't already know in their own heart, I'm not teaching the truth. And here Solomon is making that declaration also. That anything that is eternal is in the heart of humanity.
Yeah.
All eternal, all things eternal are in the heart. But we get into the temporal when we get out of the heart. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but just make sure that you keep temporal, and eternal. I remember doing a whole series on that, of how that we were making the eternal temporal and the temporal eternal. And so many of those comparisons that we've done over the years. But this really is quite a profound insight here. So what was that little song we used to sing? Heaven is in your heart. Hey, hey.
Yeah, Michael, this is really amazing to think that as often, it seems like every time we really learn something that's gospel-y, we had it so backwards in Christianity. And we went to Ecclesiastes and we said, everything in life is vain, and you need to work harder to stay away from the
vanities.
The vanities. Stay away from
them. And the work was the vanity.
Yeah. And here Solomon is saying, hey, enjoy it. Enjoy the vanities. Enjoy the life. I know nothing is better for them than to enjoy. Yeah. Enjoy the life.
Yeah.
Do the work, but enjoy what you do.
Yeah. And you can enjoy it as long as you don't think it's eternal. Because it ain't.
Yeah. Yeah. And eat and drink, man.
Yeah.
Eat, drink, and be merry.
Yeah. That's basically that's Solomon's message, right?
Yeah.
The power of this. Now, I'm reading through this book again, and I regret to say that I've only but I've reread the first 5 chapters several times because it's so rich now because of seeing past the veil of this, and what veil, Mike? Do you think it's something spiritual? No, it's the veil that was put over my face by Christianity where I couldn't read for myself.
Right.
Because it had already been interpreted for me. It had already been defined. This is the backslidden preacher.
Yeah.
The thing that I've just been so blown away by this whole trip into Ecclesiastes and into Solomon once again, in this transformative figure along the line from Seth to Christ. And this is Christ had already taken up. Get this, and here's where we have got so much to learn. So you guys think on this also. David saw Christ taking the seat the very same time that he was anointed as king. Now here we have Solomon, who is the last of that line, but there's an overlap of time when Christ was reigning over the 1,000 years, and Solomon was also king.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something very incredible. And then after that, they were they went under the Assyrians and all of these guys. There were 5 of them that maintained control of them. There was after Solomon, there were 5 kingdoms, including the Roman Empire, that ruled over what was left on the earthly. And there was 5 kingdoms. And and we're going to go through that. It's a very powerful story. It's a part of the story of the woman at the well. It's just, and I tell you, when you back up and look at the bigger picture, you're always going to learn more. And then you can find things to go into detail about. But folks, always let everything speak. Back up again. And even when you know specifics, back up again. Because sometimes we get so absorbed on the point that we forget what the point is and what it's all about. And we start getting these grand ideas about things that aren't about anything at all. Anyway, it's really quite a profound thing to experience and to know. And but man, I saw through this, and it was just really amazing. I saw this psychologist on yesterday evening, the very same time after I'd gone through some of this research, and she was talking about this anxiety is all separation anxiety, either a feeling of separation, and then she started talking about. She said, "God's in the heart." She said, "So." It's like, lady, have you been in my office? What's going on here? And,
preach it.
So she said, God is in the heart. And she said, when we start trying to do things from our head, is the way that she explained it. She said, we are going through separation anxiety because we're leaving our own true identity. And it's like, this is, most of the times that I hear these guys, I just go ahead and automatically turn, because I've been through them. I've talked to all of them. So, and I only had one little English girl help me out at all. But to understand Solomon in a greater light, the first time I've ever seen Solomon, other than him standing there saying, "Cut the baby in 2." I mean, that was the picture that was imprinted in my brain when I was 5 or 6 years old. And that started me wanting the wisdom to help people. And that's been the pursuit of my life. It's what in the world can I possibly know that will help people?
And one of the things we wanted to bring out in this too is that these things that were put into our heart, God put all of this into our heart. But Jesus made the effort to say that the way that you can know it's in your heart, because isn't that what people say? Well, just follow your heart. And then they do a bunch of stupid things. But how do we know that what we're hearing, feeling, experiencing is truly from the heart? Well, thankfully for the teachings of Christ, we have the Hebrew Scriptures, because the Hebrew Scriptures, we can search it, because the Hebrew Scriptures is the content that is in the heart.
It's the content of the heart. And it is the explanation of the heart. It is the borders of the heart. It is where eternity lives. And so the only thing that describes that eternity is the Hebrew Scriptures.
Yeah.
So, we've got our mystic friends, and they just, everything's the heart, 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 the heart. And it's all love, it's all love, it's all love, it's all love. But see, that's where we can show you that if you understand that it's the heart, but you don't take the instruction as to where to validate, because sometimes we're just not smart enough to know for sure what we are thinking, and we think it's in our heart, and it may not be. But as Daniel just pointed out to you, you don't have to wonder. You don't even have to wonder whether what Paul said was right or not, or Peter, James, or John, or even what's recorded about Jesus. Folks, if it's not in the Hebrew scriptures, you don't have to pay attention to it. And may I advise you, please don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And when you see Peter say that 1,000 years is as one day and one day is 1,000 years, you better go check the Hebrew scriptures out and see what it actually said, because that ain't it. And and hundreds of points like that we've gone through over the years. So we are very much advocates of following your heart. And I remember somebody asking me in a public meeting one time and said, well, Mike, you say we should follow our hearts. I said, well, what if our heart leads us into a ditch? And I said, well, same heart will lead you out of the ditch. And I don't know if that was just a quick shuck and jive or wisdom, but the issue is that what is in your heart is not there to tell you to turn right or left at Oak Street. It's not there to tell you which job to take. It's not there to tell you which person to marry. It's not there to do any of these things. It is to establish your identity in Christ. And when you study the Hebrew scriptures and you begin to see things like this, just like now, why that maybe me and Daniel and some others are just out to lunch, I don't know. But for me to find out that this entire line that led from the beginning of time to the cross started with a murdered man and ended with a murdered man. Wow. It gives it parameters. It gives it clarification. And what does that mean? I don't know. You're going to have to do some studying to find out too, But there is something very profound about this lineage, and that the way that it started and the way that it ended. And it did end.
Yeah.
But it ended in that it became everyone on the planet. That was the goal. That was the plan from the time Seth was born, from the time that Cain killed Abel. Cain killing Abel is definitely a type and shadow of Christ, and the spiritual jealousy that was there. It really is just quite amazing. Now, I don't know how to think about all of that yet, but boy, it sure gives your brain something to think about other than what you can do to please God. Now, I can tell you what dedicating your life to trying to do everything the way God wants it done, I can tell you exactly where it leads. It leads to you either being a liar or mentally ill or both. Because the fact is, you will never satisfy yourself. And if you have, you are as self-righteous as you can be. And self-righteousness isn't going to help anybody, especially the person who is self-righteous, and especially the children of the self-righteous or the sons and the daughters of the self-righteous. It's not going to do it. We've had so many examples of that, we shouldn't even have to bring it up, but that is the very truth of the situation. What else do we know about this man, Daniel?
Well, Michael, we certainly have a lot that we could go into here on Ecclesiastes, and I think we may find ourselves here in the next couple weeks. We're going to keep the research flowing, and we'll be sure to share with everybody what we're learning. But we got a promise to fulfill, Michael.
Well, we do. Vanity.
We left Jesus with the woman at the well, and we better help him out.
Yeah, you folks are vexing me, making me do what I need to do instead of what I want to do. Now, of course, it's certainly no vexation to go back and look at this incredible story that has been It in and of itself has been rendered down to an experience that you're supposed to have, or somehow is supposed to be duplicated. This story it's one of the longest dialogues that Jesus had, if not the longest dialogue that Jesus had with any single individual that is recorded. And we think it's probably for a very good reason. Of course, the history of this is something that has been left out altogether. The only thing that anybody knows is that Samaria was where that the Jews they had to walk around Samaria. If they went straight, they could be there in one day. But if they were in the middle of where Samaria was and where they needed to go was just on the other side, they'd walk 5 days to get there instead of the one day to cross Samaria. What was that? That was fence laws. That was not the laws of Moses. And we still have so much to say about that. Oh my gosh. And Solomon's wisdom. Of course, you've got to understand at Solomon, we have no fence laws. So this is not trying to do what the Pharisees said to do. This is everything of just trying to do what you do for your own identity, even, and to try to find that eternal part of you. And if what you do is where you find value and worth, you've missed it. You are vexed. You are vexed. And man, when people are vexed, wow, you talk about crazy behavior that comes out of a vexed soul. I lived way more of my life with a vexed soul than I had with a peaceful soul. And boy, there's no comparison and there is no choice. But I didn't even know the other way even existed. So this story of the woman at the well. So we do have to set this the stage for this. Samaria. So what was Samaria? Samaria was the descendants of the tribes of Israel that were divorced.
Yeah.
And they had married into Gentiles. And so this was a part of Judaism that they didn't even want to associate with these people. That would come too close to the divorced people. Yet the very same verses say that the whore Judah was worse off than the part that he does say that, doesn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, it sure does.
So it's like, so you're afraid to walk across their land? Goodness gracious, might be the other way around. So, but it's very entrenched that this is the way it was. And then this mountain that she pointed to and said that our father said that we should worship in this mountain. That mountain was where those 12 tribes under the Assyrians and under different ones set up these false temples and all kinds of things, and said that this is where that we're supposed to worship. And I thought at first that it might be Mount Sinai, but I was completely wrong. A good point that you may think you're right, but you may need to check up on yourself and see whether or not. So this encounter with Christ is an encounter with the end of the 1,000-year reign. He is encountering the 10 tribes that were divorced. And now remember that he was encountering the 10 tribes that were divorced. And so here they are. And why is this such an important moment for Jesus? Why would this take up so much of his time? Because this is who he knew was promised that they would be brought back in again at the end. So But to bring them back in again, the thing that is even more powerful about it is they're so mixed with Gentiles that you're going to have to redeem to get to the divorced Jews that are in there. You're going to have to redeem all Gentiles to get to them because it's all mixed together.
Yeah.
So that's the big picture of this framework of this conversation that happened at the well.
So let's look at the conversation. One of the things I did also want to point out is that Samaria was once the capital of Israel.
Yes.
But then it had become, through the divorce and the separation between the 10 tribes and the other two, it became what it was. There was this enmity between the Samaritans and what was considered Jews.
Yeah.
John 4 and verse 4. But he needed to go through Samaria. So he came to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the plot of the ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now, Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied from his journey, sat thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour. And a woman of Samaria came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." For his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. Then the woman of Samaria said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? For the Jews have no dealings with Samaritans." Jesus answered and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is who says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." Then the woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where do you think you'd get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as well as his sons and his livestock?" And Jesus answered and said to her, "Whoever drinks of this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up everlasting life." Then the woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water, that I may not thirst nor come here to draw." And Jesus said to her, "Go call your husband and come here." Then the woman answered and said, "I have no husband." And Jesus said to her, "You have said well, I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you have is not your husband. In that you spoke truly." The woman said to him, "Sir, I perceive you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, and you Jews say that in Jerusalem is the place where one ought to worship." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is of the Jews. For the hour is coming, and now is, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father is seeking such to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth." The woman said, "I know that Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all things." Jesus said to her, "I who speak to you am he."
Daniel, yes, this is this incredible story, and you saw how lengthy that was. I mean, that really is quite a conversation that he had. So a couple of things that Daniel also, by reading that, established what we told you is who this woman was and where she came from. And she said Jacob was their father, Jacob. So this is Jacob's well. He gave it to them. These are the divorced people, folks. We've got them right here. Jesus is talking to the divorced tribes. And he is saying to the divorced tribes, he asked her, he said, go call your husband. And she said, "I don't have one." And he said, "Yeah, I know." He says, "Altogether, you've had 5, including the current one. And he's not your husband either." But if you do just a brief little search, I think the Assyrians were the first ones that took over the northern tribes. And from Assyria all the way down, the very last one that was ruling over them was the Roman Empire. And that was the husband that they had. That is not your husband even now. She said, you've had 5. So there was the Assyrians, and I just can't remember those names right now for some reason. But so this story is more than just what you're hearing on the surface. This is an encounter of Christ, who is the true lineage of the tribe of Judah. And he knows that the salvation is of the Jews. It is of Judah, which that is the term that has been translated as Jews. I mean, just almost throughout. But it's actually, if you'd have been saying Judah, it would have been the same thing. I'm thinking that Jesus would have probably been saying that salvation is of Judah. Because the Jews, technically and by description, by that name, did not come along until many, many, many years, hundreds of years later. And it did not even come into existence until after the divorce of these people. So yes, this was salvation is of Judah. It was coming, and they mentioned Jacob, our father, and of course Jacob is certainly Jacob was not just from the woman's line, but also Christ too. But here you've got the true line of Judah standing here, and you've got the divorced tribes that he is addressing. It is just one of the most fascinating things. And he's addressed their history now in telling her they've had 5 husbands. You've had 5 husbands. And that's really blew me away when I went to check to see how many kingdoms ruled over these guys. And it was exactly 5. And it ends with Roman Empire.
Yeah, I pulled up that list here, Michael. So the Assyrians, the Assyrians wouldn't be in the list. They were a part of the ones who reestablished Samaria, and this was after the 10 tribes were divorced. So the first one would have been Babylon.
Yes, of course.
And then Cutha, and then Ava, then Hamath, and Saravaim. And then the one that she is with now, who is not her husband, would be Rome. And of course, we could probably throw in there the feet of iron and clay. Yes. So we have Rome and the Jews, which what would be? This is amazing. Here we thought all these years we were just reading it, that she was just telling this random Samaritan woman about her personal life. And of course, we certainly don't know. Maybe she did have 5 husbands, but the truth is, beyond that, is that the whole Samaritan village, that's who he was speaking to.
Yes, he was speaking to all 10 tribes, all of the, and it's interesting what you bring up there, that she actually, the husband that she now has is actually the Jews and the Roman Empire. Because they were one thing.
Yeah.
So the Jews and the Roman Empire that is incredible that is true. The Jews and the Roman Empire is who was ruling over Samaria at that time.
Yeah.
And then the Jewish people could not, and here Jesus is walking right through Samaria.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't read past the story, but the disciples came and they marveled that he talked to a woman. And they said, "Why do you seek it? Why are you talking to her?" Yeah. I mean, they were so surprised that Jesus would even have a conversation with this woman. That's how terrible this arrangement was between these two groups of people.
Yeah. Fence laws. They were wondering why he wasn't keeping the fence laws. Because it certainly wasn't the laws of Moses that said you can't cross into Samaria.
Yeah.
So the people, Samaria was, Daniel, that's very powerful. Samaria was being ruled by the Jews and the Roman Empire.
Mm.
So they weren't bringing about any salvation for Samaria. They were Samaria's oppressors.
Yeah.
That's during this time. Man, if you look at the last 120 years before the cross, you talk about corruption. Oh my gosh, this was, it's just hard to even think. And the Hasmonean priesthood had come into being. And that is the priesthood. The descendants of that priesthood are the ones that married into Herod's family. Herod, his sons, all married Hasmonean princesses.
Mm. And, Michael, as this story concludes, we see that statement that you made that said here that salvation is of the Jews. And we looked at that a little bit deeper in the Greek and discovered, that it was out of. And as you described, that word Jews is,
so that's
that line of Judah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the salvation is out of. There was a specific line that the salvation would come out of. But as he's speaking to this woman, she even says, we know the Messiah is coming. We know Christ is coming. So there's this expectation for something to come. And Jesus is saying, yes, it's out of my line. And then he said to her, I'm the one. In case you're wondering, I am the one. I who speak to you.
I'm the one.
I'm it.
Not the group.
I'm the one. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's there it is. I'm
the one man doctrine.
Yeah, we got you tied up on both ends on this one now, Daniel.
Yeah.
So this, if you wanted any clarification about where this line went, Jesus said, I'm it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was left, or what is even left today, has nothing to do with this line whatsoever.
Yeah.
And don't tell anybody we said that. Yeah. So, but it's very true. And until these truths become understandable, folks, we're not trying to throw fuel on a already raging fire. But the truth has to be known, is that this entire facade truly is a facade, and Christianity has chased this facade with worshipful hands, and they are worshiping they know not what, and the very Christ that they say they believe in, they are completely disavowing him by saying that the chosen people are this certain group of people. The only thing that a Christian should say is that everybody on earth is the chosen people now.
Yeah.
And then Christianity could have some validity. But as long as it holds up one group as chosen, there's no such thing as a chosen person. There's no such, even individually. We've gone through that years ago about being chosen. I make it very clear to people, I have no claim to being chosen at all. And the addiction to that is just really quite amazing. But so here is the one man doctrine. He's saying that Judah is here. I'm he. Who is he? I am Judah. I'm him.
Yeah, I'm it.
And there is no other. Even these guys that's out trying to buy something to eat, they're not part of it either.
Yeah. Because when he had the conversations with them, he said, "You're of your father, the devil."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we just when he had his conversations with the other Pharisees and everybody else, that's what he had to say about the situation. Now, if that is offensive, I mean, we're not trying to offend, because there's nothing to be offended about now, because there is no Jew, there is no Gentile, there's no slave or free in Christ. We're all one. I mean, how much clearer could we ever be able to declare that what we're saying to you about this woman of the well experience could it be? How much clearer could we be about Solomon's incredible insights about that it's not by works.
Mhm.
Everything that is eternal has nothing to do with works.
Right.
It is later on in Ecclesiastes. There's 3 times in Ecclesiastes that he says, this is God's. This is what God wants for you. For you to find something you enjoy doing and do it.
Mm.
That's what God wants for you.
Yeah.
Find something you enjoy doing and do it.
Mm.
Daniel, you've gone through a revolution. You're here on this Powercast with me, and these are natural words to you now. But they weren't so natural 10 years ago, were they?
No. Mm-mm.
How does that feel? I mean, it's just like when I was saying that, I can see your face, your slim face. Daniel has lost a tremendous amount of weight. I know he's probably not wanting to tell everybody that yet, but it's really amazing to see the transformation going on. But I've still got his old picture on my phone. As I told him, I said, "You got to send me a new picture. You don't look like this anymore." So anyway, as I was saying that, there was this face of absolute delight that couldn't be erased if I tried.
Mm.
What's that been like?
I thought about this so many times. I did what I was supposed to do, and I did it well. I was a good Christian. I was a good Christian boy. I lived good.
Yeah.
But it was this labor. It was, and Michael, I came to this understanding. Now I have the words for it because we've gone through Ecclesiastes. It was all in vain.
Yeah.
Vanity. You look at over all of that effort, all that I did, all that I went through, all that I pursued. It was grasping for air.
Yeah.
It was vanity. It was vexing. To come and to learn the gospel and then look back and be able to say that the 25 years that I spent hardcore in Christianity, devout, praying and reading the Bible and preaching every time I had the opportunity to do it, to go back and to realize that did not change my status in Christ in any degree.
Yeah.
Also able to rejoice that it didn't take away from it either, which is wonderful to know. The only thing it took away from was my understanding of it and my enjoyment of the righteousness that I had in Christ. But now to know that, and now I can still be here, Michael, and still do the research, still do the preaching, still do the teaching. But now it's not a labor. It's just like he said, find something you enjoy to do and do it.
Yeah.
And, I say that, and I will be the first one to admit, I certainly had a lot of fun doing a lot of those services and a lot of that. Oh my gosh, did we have fun?
Yeah.
Amongst all the vexation, there was fun to be had for sure. But yeah, I certainly do enjoy this, Michael. And then also to realize that even the vain things in life, I'm not out. I'm not out. What does everyone always say? Pillaging and raping.
Yeah, rape, pillaging, plunder.
Yeah, I'm not doing any of that. But just the simple things in life and just enjoying life. And what was the thing that Hagen always used to say, that you were so heavenly minded that you were no earthly good. We were so everything spiritual. And but to understand that I am a spiritual person, but also these temporal things are things that we can enjoy and indulge in life for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do I feel? I feel amazing, Michael.
It shows.
Yeah.
It absolutely shows. And it's, we are Folks, we are just, we're doing what we do. Why? Because any definition that God has ever had, that's what he wanted, even all the way back to Solomon and the wisest man on earth. God wants you to enjoy the work that you do.
Yeah.
And hey, enjoy the vanities. Just you just can't let the vanities become vexing and having negative consequences on your life. So it's just we're talking about being free, folks, and we're trying to put it into structural daily life, and that's very difficult to do because what freedom is for one person is not the same thing for somebody else. And that, but knowing that the core of everything is in the human heart. Everything that is God is in the heart, and it's been there. It's just really quite amazing. We've got, as you can tell, we have a whole lot more research to do, but this has just been fun.
Yeah, it really has. And then to clarify some of the story and to learn another layer of the story and understanding of the Samaritan woman. My goodness, what a journey. It sure is good to be free and to have the scriptures there to speak those things which are in our heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you go about your week, just, hey, rejoice in the work that you do. Enjoy, just enjoy. I really think that you can, whatever you're doing, even if you are, I've seen a lot of people at a lot of different jobs, and I've seen people enjoy those jobs and not enjoy those jobs. And it seems that it comes down to attitude more than the job. Now, we're not going to start trying to preach to you about, be thankful in everything that you do. But there is something to do with attitude. And I think that the feeling that your job is meaningless, well, that's a really terrible feeling. I can't imagine doing that. But the wisdom of Solomon would be to say, hey, if I'm a server at somebody's table, maybe I can do something to cause their day to be better. Now, if I was a server at a restaurant and my shift lasted from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., there'd probably be at least 3 dead people by noon. So I don't see how servers do it. I go into a restaurant with somebody and they offend the waiter or the waitress. I'm telling you, it's not the waiter or the waitress that I'm wanting to tangle with. It's the person that has been offensive because they didn't get served just promptly, correctly. However it was to be. So, yeah. To start out with, to enjoy what you're doing and enjoy your meal and make it enjoyable for your server too.
And so it is. We must leave you, family and friends. If you'd like to know anything about the Gospel Revolution, then call our office on
832-318-9339.
And speak to us about how you want to participate. Or go to www.gospelrevolution.com and hit the connect link. You can find us on your favorite social media network, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please be sure to hit that subscribe, share, and like button on whatever platform you're listening. Now it's good night from Daniel Rouse in the frozen tundra.
And it's good night from Michael Williams right here in the Queen City. We love you guys. And again, thank you guys. If there's anybody listening and thinking, wow, I didn't know that we were trying to help Moses out, it's not too late. $2,000 is not a lot of money. It's a good sum. But the thing that I had explained to people lot of people thought, well, that at least their food is cheap. And that's not the truth. Their food costs about what I pay for food here in Clarksville. And so they live out of their garden, and they have to have a garden to survive. And the last 2 or 3 years has not been good gardening seasons. So it's been a bit tough. Appreciate it. Moses shares the gospel in everything that he does. He and Liz, they're sharing things with me, and I'm learning things from them even as we speak in our communications. And it's just a really sweet thing. These guys have been part of us, our family. Goodness gracious, I guess since before Daniel came along. So, yeah.
We sure hope you enjoyed today's Powercast. And remember, we'll be here to do the same thing all over again next week. Only
better.
Since you're knocking on the door, you're begging to come in, yeah. Unaware that all the while love's been knocking from within. You are the love you seek, a perfect yet unique, righteous, holy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you feel lost and alone, staring at the unknown, and these words be the compass that guides you back home. We are one, we are love, we are. Know where you gotta be, nothing to complete. It's not a thing that you need, you're the love. Just remember to breathe and take a second off. Look, I'm just trying to remind you that you're perfectly divine, flawlessly designed. When you feel lost and alone, staring at the unknown, let these words be the compass that guides you back home. We are one, we are love, we are. Yeah, yeah. We are love.
Deconstructing religion and barbecuing the sacred cows of Christianity before your very eyes. You are listening to
The Gospel Revolution.